welcome to the Phil Taylor Jones Show. As usual, you are invited to come along with us on this crazy adventure. Today we're going to be talking about, what else, Decision 2016. But we're going to take a different take on it this time. As you know, we're in the thickets of the race to the White House, and commercials are popping up all over the place, and different sound bites are popping up. And it's getting very interesting, this farce of election. I'm Phil Taylor Jones, your host, and let's talk about a few things. You know, it has been long said, possibly by all of our grandparents, that you better be careful when you start slinging mud, because unless you're slinging mud at somebody that doesn't have hands, some of that mud's going to come right back to you. Well, throughout the ages, candidates have been slinging mud at each other and, you know, bringing up little nasty tidbits about each other in hopes that that will be just a little push, a little urge to get them over the top and into the White House, or whichever office they're seeking. And this one isn't without its share of, well, they put down mud, they're slinging bricks, you know, big cinder blocks. But every once in a while, somebody gets off a good one. Now, during the Olympics, the bitchery Clinton, she got off a good one on old orange-haired chook Trump about his artifacts that he's having made to be sold. He's so big on making America great again, and he wants to put tariffs and charges and what have you on Nabisco and Ford Motor Company, who are in the process of moving some of their operations to Mexico. Yet everything that he makes doesn't have a Made in America label on it. So she zinged him real good on that one. Well, there's another commercial that has surfaced, and it's about what he said regarding John McCain not being a hero because of the fact that he was captured and tortured. Now, it's always been my philosophy, or my feeling, or my thought, that John McCain, the politician, stinks to high heaven. Ooh, get him out of here. 15 miles to get back. But as a veteran, as a person who so valiantly served our country, I think the guy is a hero. He fought vigilantly for our country, fought for our freedoms, fought for the right for this orange-haired chook, Trump, to impugn him, to belittle him. Now that just shows you how immature and how ignorant Donald J. Trump really is, because he's so elementary in his thinking. He's thinking, oh, I'm going to take down John McCain. You didn't do that, pal. You took down a whole nation of veterans, of fighting personnel, of prisoners of war and MIAs. That's what you did with that garbage pail of a mouth of yours. Yet his worshipers go on worshiping. This commercial was very, very significant, very poignant, and very truthful. See, some of his worshipers would go on to say, oh, well, they photoshopped that. That's not what he really said. Or they misconstrued what he said. No, this came out of his garbage pail of a mouth. We'd like for you to take a look at this commercial, and we'll be getting right back to you after its conclusion. Thank you.
John McCain, a war hero, 5.5 years as a POW, and you call him a dummy. Is that appropriate in running for president?
Okay. He's not a war hero.
He's a war hero.
He's a war hero.
5.5 years.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
Do you agree with that?
He's a war hero because he was captured.
I was in World War II in the European theater. Ultimately, I was captured after knocking out a bunker with a grenade. It was mainly hunger and cold and worrying whether the Germans were going to hurt us again. Apart from the outrage of the insult to prisoners of war, he insulted all of our military. My war is 70 years. Ago. And yesterday? He's everything I would not want to be or emulate, and I would hope we would not adulate a man like him and put him into the most precious office in this country.
And we have returned. Thank you for allowing us to show you that. Very sorrowful piece. You know, when you think of what our fighting personnel go through in all of the armed services, and we salute them because they're out there 24/7, 365 on these tours of duty, risking their lives totally. I mean, not just lip service, but out there dodging IUDs and snipers and all kinds of hurt, harm, and danger. And some of them come back a whole body, but there's something going on in the mind with the PTSD. Some of them come back half a person that they went in, missing limbs, shrapnel in their bodies. I mean, all kinds of things that will last these people for the rest of their lives. And then to think of the ultimate, either flying and getting shot down, or floating along the oceans and getting your ship blown out from under you, and then having some other vessel from a foreign nation come and snatch you aboard, and then you become a prisoner of war. Or if you're a trooper on the ground and you become overtaken by the enemy troopers and they take you away and throw you in some kind of hot box where you're baking in the sun for the better part of the day, or they're, not to be gross, but they insert probes and things up your posterior and turn them on to shock you or burn you, or any just gut-wrenching, heinous things that happen to our soldiers in these wars, most of them very stupid, for money and oil. And then to have some ingrate, some sick, demented bastard, some elementary-minded idiot come along and just throw every one of these fine ladies and gentlemen under the bus is unconscionable. It's disgusting, not to mention disgraceful, and a slap in the face to each and every one of these heroes, these people that have fought for our freedoms and were unfortunate enough to be seized up. And you have no compassion for that? Donald J. Trump? You have no compassion. No, they're not heroes. You need to get yourself checked out. You talk about Hillary Clinton's health, and she's looking bad. She's looking like she, can barely go on. But I would suggest that someone check your mental health, because you're a nut. If you impugn these fine fighting people, our fighting people, our sons and daughters, and they get unfortunate enough to be captured and tortured, killed, and you have no empathy because you want to be so sick-minded, so feeble-minded as to go after one but destroy a multitude. You're sick in the head. I don't care what your worshipers say about you. You are sick. And the bitchery Clinton. Remember about that throwing mud? Well, you got some all over your face because she just zinged you, pal. You're talking about she's not fit to be president. She's talking about you're not fit to be president. Neither one of you are fit to be president. But we both know that one of you will be. And what a tragedy that will be for our country. A loudmouth, garbage-mouthed idiot like Trump at the helm would mean disaster for this country. A sick, feeble-minded bitch that wants to follow the doctrines and the protocol of a creep that's already in there would spell disaster for this country. We know that. But I just could not let this go. When I saw that commercial, it just did nasty things to my heart. My grandfather fought in the war. Thank goodness he didn't become a prisoner of war. He got out, and he did well after he got out. He didn't suffer PTSD or, you know, he didn't have shrapnel in him or what have you. He got out pretty much unscathed. But just to think, he was there, and the potential was there. But a lot of families weren't as lucky as I was. Their people are still either missing in action, prisoners of war, and they're sitting there from day to day not knowing what's going on with their people. Their hearts are heavy and hanging very low. We're talking about as far back as the Vietnam War, maybe even further. People have not heard from their loved ones who went to serve so valiantly. And to have this orange-haired chook diminish that effort because he doesn't like a political opponent is disgusting, disgraceful. And somebody like that should never be a president of this great United States. Making America great again would mean that you drop out and take your friend Bitchery Clinton with you. Exec, what do you got?
A lot of disheartenment, if that's a word. I think I used it inappropriately.
It's
but
disgusting.
Very disheartened by what he said. You know, seeing that video myself, it really tore my heartstrings too. You know, seeing the guy choke up in the scene where he said, you know, not only have I lived this war back then, but I lived it yesterday, or something along those lines, and he kind of teared up. You know, to say what he said to not only to McCain, but to all veterans that have been captured, let alone been in the war, was just a slap in the face, as if to say what you did because you got captured wasn't worth a damn. And how dare you just stomp on someone's soul like that, on someone's efforts and someone's loyalty to a country like that with your unloyalness to a country by saying a statement like that. It's just uncanny. And I'm not sure what the timelines are like. I'm sure you'll know when I speak of it. But this time where he decided not to go to the debates and did his supposed benefit for the veterans, was that before or after he actually said that?
That was after.
After he said it. Well, then in that case, all the supposed money he got in, and the show that he did for them was basically negated by what he said previously. How can you even have something like that cross your mind, let alone your lips? It doesn't make any kind of sense for any normal human being.
Yeah, I believe it was after, because he and Lindsey Graham were going back and forth, and he and John McCain were going back and forth. There's a long-standing bitterness between them three.
How can you let something that asinine and childish and ludicrous just leave your lips? I mean, these people fight for the country. You claim you want to make America great, and you claim you care for the veterans, but then you slap them in the face like that. It's ridiculous. He doesn't need to be president. Neither does, Bitchery Clinton. What she did zing him good there with both of those commercials. And like you said, nothing will get you in trouble but your big mouth. Or as the old saying goes, laugh it, catch it, big mouth, stretch it. It's just crazy. That's why we need someone that doesn't go around, insulting people, but instead goes around helping people, not really veterans, but indigenous Native Americans here in the United States and in South Dakota, I believe, unless it's just North Dakota. I think it's both with this problem with this pipeline. Jill Stein's running for president also is barely recognized compared to the other third-party candidate that's running who has more recognition. He's not even going out there and helping those people, you know, she goes out there and helps people of this nation, and this other one goes and insults them. You know, that's not the kind of person we need. We need Jill Stein to get in there, and it's not looking very well because she surpassed that 100,000 marker for being in the debate stage, and some idiot bumped up to 200,000, just like, you know,
This commission of
this commission to presidential debates.
Presidential debates, bunch of crap.
But it's crazy the things that will come out of supposed patriots' mouths, and the people that will actually continue to support someone like that is even more insane. But people, we need to take a look at our hearts and at our minds and who we're standing for, and take another look at it if you're standing for this person, for lack of a better and more appropriate word. But it's just crazy.
It is. You know, when you think of what a president embodies, you always stand behind your fighting people. I mean, your military is your might. Now, granted, as Americans, we've done some pretty heinous things, but in other countries, but it's not our fighting personnel's fault. That comes from the top, and our fighting personnel, our regular GI Joes and GI Janes, they're there to follow orders. And you know, should they be captured and what have you, you stand behind those people and get them out if you can possibly do that. Whatever, you never leave a mate behind. But for this guy to get up there and just out of his mouth comes this vomit, this vile vomit, and you know, to have worshipers continue to worship. Think about that thing. How many of you have ever been to war? How many of you ever came close to being captured? How many of you that are supporting him have ever been captured and were lucky enough to get out? Think of that thing, how it felt, whether or not you were going to see your family again, whether or not you were going to live to the next minute, and have some garbage like that erupt from this ingrate's mouth. Then he's up there hugging the flag. Oh, please. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, this election is by far one of the worst things, one of the worst events I've ever seen in my life. It's sickening, it's disgusting, and to see these two idiots trying to one-up each other is ludicrous, because both of them are nothing but bags of garbage. Yeah, the bitch got a couple of good ones on him. I don't know what he's doing about her, but no matter which one shows anything, they're both bags of garbage and would be both very detrimental to this country. So I would urge you again to think about it. Think about who you're voting for. Think about why you're voting for them. Are you voting for this one because you don't necessarily like them, but you like the other one less so that you'll vote for this one? Is that a good reason to try to put somebody in the White House? I know one of them is going to make it. This is true, because they're doing everything they can to freeze out that third party. Everything from coming up with different propaganda to totally freezing them out for whatever stupid reason. They don't want either one of them there, especially Jill Stein, because she represents something totally different from the status quo. But we're going to get either one of these dregs in there. It's about as sure as shooting. So what do we do but suffer? Because guaranteed, we will suffer greatly under either one of them. So I don't know what to say about this. You know, it's just like we're in a room full of explosive devices. On one end of the room, you got a bomb that's ticking, and on the other end of the room, you got a keg of dynamite with a fuse that can't be extinguished or stamped out. So it's just a matter of you sitting in the middle of the room figuring out which may be the lesser blast. The bomb over here or the case of dynamite over there. But you know there's going to be an explosion. Well, we're sitting in the same greasy boat. We got a blonde-haired crook and an orange-haired chook. Well, they say, well, if you vote for Jill Stein or you vote for Gary Johnson, it's just a vote for the other person. That's a damn lie. A vote for that person is a vote for that person. It depends on whether or not who gets the most votes. And I guess that may not matter either with this electoral college garbage looming heavily in the balance. But if enough people vote for the bitchery Clinton, or if enough people vote for the orange-haired chook, Donald J. Trump, then either one of them will win. But I'm not voting for him. I will not, and I reiterate, not vote for someone that I don't believe in. I don't care what the situation is. I don't like the bitchery Clinton. She is rotten scum. I don't like Donald J. Trump. He is rotten scum, a bastard. And I will not cast a vote for either one of them. I will be voting for Jill Stein, even if it is a vote up in the air. But I will not vote for garbage. I didn't do it with this creep that's in there now. And I will not do it for these two impending creeps. Enough is enough. And if enough Americans band together and not vote for either one of these creeps and chooses somebody else, it might be just interesting to see how that thing goes. But anybody who would impugn prisoners of war or those missing in action is not the candidate for me. We thank you very much for joining this edition of the Phil Taylor Jones Show, and we hope that you will keep that smile on your face, because remember, keeping that smile on your face is a direct contradiction to all the bull crap in the world. Try to remain safe in this crazy world. It gets crazier by the minute. Attackings, bombings, stabbings, you name it. Stay safe. Try to keep an air of joy if you can. And to the extent possible, let's try to dump the hate and increase the peace. We'll see you next time right here on the show. Bye-bye.